but I said, you're an atheist, right? He said, yes. I said, so you believe the only thing that exists is matter and energy? He said, yes. I said, so you are just a specific collection of particles. There's no soul in you or spirit or anything like that. It's just matter and energy and you're a bunch of particles. He said, yes. I said, okay, apparently at some point in your past, your collection of particles came into close proximity with another collection of particles. And it caused a reaction in your particles in such a way you asked those other particles to marry you. And then he starts laughing. He met his wife, which she would be another collection of particles. If there's no God, she is a collection of particles. So he agreed with that and kind of laughed. It's funny. I said, okay, most likely on a regular basis, you're coming into close proximity with other collections of particles that are causing a similar reaction that you had when you met your wife. Do you pursue an intimate relationship with all these other women? He said, no. I said, why not? He goes, because I love my wife. I said, no, you don't. He goes, what are you talking about? I said, you can't love your wife. You're just particles. Particles don't love anything. They just bang together. I said, now in my worldview, you're created in the image of God. And God is love. It's a real thing. And he created you in such a way you could experience that relationship with your wife. But I said, that's my worldview. We're not here to talk about me. Why don't you pursue these relationships? And then he said, gosh, I mean, I got kids. I got a family. I'm committed to my family. I said, no, you're not. So what are you talking about? I said, particles aren't committed to anything. They just bang together. So why didn't you pursue these relationships? And we were having fun with the conversation, but he was getting frustrated. And all of a sudden, his eyes got huge. He goes, oh, now you're talking about the conscience. He goes, scientists have been debating the conscience for years. I said, you know what, Sean, you're right, they have been. But that's not an answer, because every one of their discussions has to come down to particles banging together a certain way. It's not an answer. Just because they're confused about something, that doesn't mean that's an answer. So why don't you pursue the relationship? He had no answer. So then I let him off the hook and I said, do you control the motions of your particles? And he said, no. He had to say no. If he would have said yes, I would ask him, what are you using to control your particles if that's all you are? So he said no. So I picked up my fork a few inches and I dropped it. I said, so you think I had to do that right now? That's just how my particles moved. He goes, yep. I said, okay, so the guys who flew the planes into the buildings, 9/11, they had to do that. He said, oh no, that was wrong. And people who do things like that need to be locked up and counseled until they're safe to be let out in society again. I said, wait a minute, Sean. You said we don't control the motions of our particles. Now you're insinuating they were controlling theirs. So he's contradicting himself. And then lastly, I said, you're an atheist, right? Yep. So you reject God. Yep. I said, no, you don't. What are you talking about? You don't reject God. You're just particles. Particles don't reject things. They just bang into each other. So you can't reject God. On the other hand, my particles are moving in such a way that I believe that God does exist. He has a son named Jesus, and I have a personal relationship with him, and you can't change that. That's just how my particles are moving. So all I did was you temporarily assume that they're correct in their view. There's no God. Everything's just particles. And then you show how that leads to logical absurdities. Again, it's just putting a pebble in a shoe. I'm not even telling him you're wrong. I'm just saying you got something to deal with here. He's going to have to deal with that somehow, make his own decision. If he doesn't change his mind, he's got to live with his annoying contradiction and all those things, laying in bed at night thinking, of course I love my wife, but I can't. But I know I do, but I can't. Or he's going to have to say, maybe there's something wrong with my worldview. So again, this is where you listen. You get to know them, and then you can listen to what they're saying and use that logic against them.